So we should get started, right? Welcome everyone to our August meeting. Firstly, like to acknowledge this land that we meet on today is the traditional lands of the Ghana people, and that we respect this. So we should get started, right? Welcome everyone to our August meeting. And that we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Ghana people as the custodians of the Greater Adelaide region, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still important to the living Ghana people today. So moving on to attendance, roll call. Don't think we only have Renee's out of leave of absence. Brianna's
logging in right now.
Oh, that's good. And is Angus an apology?
I haven't heard from him as of yet, or Helen, but they were both down to attend, so I'm hoping they're trying to log in.
Oh, okay.
I've just messaged them.
No worries. So motions to grant leave of absence. Do we have anyone that wishes to move a motion in that regard? And leave of absence, Renee is still on leave. Public open forum, we have no one presenting to us. So they're moving on to the declarations of interest. Does anyone have any declarations of interest they wish to announce? Okay, then moving on to number 5, confirmation of minutes. Would someone like to move the confirmation of the minutes? If there's no discussion to be had on it. Oh, Brenda's here. That's good. Amelia? I just saw Amelia put her hand up, so. Oh, right, sorry, the hand up is to move in seconds, sorry, my apologies. So Amelia moves and Isaac seconds. All those in favor, please show your hands, and that's with the tick and the cross.
I'm unable to vote on this, right, and move anything. Is that correct?
I believe so, yeah. That's
okay. So if I don't put my hand up, it's not because I disagree, it's just because I can't.
No worries, thank you. So that's carried unanimously. Okay, now moving on to business arising from minutes. I don't think we have any business arising from minutes.
Jack, sorry to, through the chair, can I just go back to apologies? I do have an apology.
Okay, no worries. Oh, yes.
I do have an apology from Alex Pryor. He won't be able to attend, and he's also, through the chair, put his resignation in. So can we please put a motion in?
Okay.
For resignation and a thank you, that we recommend that to council that they accept the resignation of Alexander Pryor, and that Alexander is thanked for his service.
Sorry, through the chair, Jack, can we do that on motions without notice, please? Not at this stage. It's not appropriate at this stage of the agenda, Deb.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Aaron. Thanks.
Oh, no, all good.
No worries. So we'll just put that down to be discussed later. So moving on from business arising from minutes, we have the officers' report. Deb, would you like to speak to the report?
Yes, thank you. There's been a couple of since the report's gone out. Obviously, we've been through another lockdown. So during that time of lockdown, we launched a online program. So we launched a build your own character, learn to draw workshop, which was very successful. And we had, a lot of people logging on during lockdown to participate in that. And since then, we've released the second version of that, which is getting some really good feedback and obviously some, talented artists working on their characters, which is lovely. There is 5 episodes in that series, and so far there is 2 released, and we hope to release another one this week. We also found out late today, that the youth survey has been extended to the 16th of August instead of the original date of today. And that is due to the fact is that obviously it's a slow uptake of people completing the survey, and it's not just in South Australia, it's across Australia wide. So that's another thing as well. So that's a new date there, the 16th of August. The other reminder is that we have Dubsy coming to the next YUC meeting at the beginning, and just reminding people, if you are attending for catering reasons, if you can please book in via Eventbrite, that would be amazing. And we will be calling also for a couple of people to write a Gen Now piece in September and October, please. And that's all from me.
No worries, thank you. Is there any questions or people want to put their hands up for the Gen Now column? Okay. Would someone like to move we note the officer's report? Thank you, Isaac. And a seconder? Thanks, Cody. And then all those in favor? We lost some. Oh, thanks, Talon. Okay, so that's carried unanimously. Thank you. So then moving on to 7.2 is the Youth Sports Person and Youth Artist Sponsorship Program. That's on page 13. So has everyone had a chance to review the officer's recommendation? Would someone like to move the motion as written? Brenna, thank you. And seconder, please. Thanks, Abby. And then all those in favor. Carried unanimously. Thank you. So then after that is the items listed for discussion. 8.1 is the chair's verbal update. I have nothing to provide an update on. I've just received a message from Renee just before that I'll be sending some information regarding the chair's sort of connection with the mayor. So there might be something at the next meeting for me to discuss. 8.2, the Climate Emergency Action Plan Working Group update. Someone like to discuss that, or I'm happy to, seeing I was at the last workshop. Okay, give a little bit of a spiel. So last month we had the workshop to sort of finalize all of the last details of the action plan. So looking at the objectives and the strategy that goes into the wording. So we kind of worked out what we want to gain out of it and how to make it long-term and sound. So the workshop was quite an interesting event. It went for the entire day. very successful, I reckon, in my opinion, with everyone's thoughts. It was a good discussion on all of the sort of components of the plan. And so that's now being finalized to then go towards council for recommendations soon. So that'll be quite exciting to see that finally up and running. And it was also great that a lot of the youth advisory committee members were present at the meeting as well. So I had an emphasis on a youth element towards the overarching themes. So yeah, that's my update. If anyone wants to add anything else, Cody or Nathan and Jade. Nathan?
Yeah, look, I probably won't add too much new there, but yeah, just on the back end of you, I think the workshop went really well. It was the day-long workshop, as you knew, so we did unpack certain items to a level I don't think we would have if we did our normal monthly meetings that only go for a few hours here and there, and you know, we probably start the same conversations over and over again, whereas this one we were able to really get into the nitty-gritty of the actions, which in the end, that's what the important part of the plan is. It's you know, it's one thing to say what the problems are, but it's the most important thing is what are we going to do about them. So I think that was really beneficial, that we made those tweaks to the language, because sometimes I think, you know, it's one thing to have our room full of people that have that grasp on climate emergency, but really nailing down what our audience is was really important, and I think we all contributed really well to that. So there was a lot of value from that. Since such time, we've had a meeting. I think that was a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, it would have been prior lockdown. It wasn't. I think there was only maybe myself, Paul Kosh, and I think Grace, and then we had two staff, so Tim and Jack, and we just sort of went through a little bit. Yeah, I guess still positively talking about how the workshop went and next steps, which is, I think the plans now with the graphic designer and an editor just to pick up anything on formatting issues, et cetera, et cetera. We also touched on the idea of turning this thing into a web page as well. So we just did discuss that a little bit. But yeah, hopefully the next time we come back, we'll have a bit more of a home document. One thing that we did pick up on was that we're still needing that youth advisory chair statement. So yeah, I guess we're still sort of chasing that. Tim and Jack said they were going to speak to Renee about that one as well.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, got a chat to Renee about a few things. So yeah, probably have a chat about that as well. So next on the list for items listed for discussion is the Youth Advisory Panel update. I think Renee's normally involved with that, and I have haven't had any involvement with that one, so I have nothing to report. Next up is 8.4 Gawler Youth Accessibility to Transport. Isaac, I'm not sure if you want to sort of give an update.
Yeah, sure. I'll jump in. So, obviously, there was a bit of a report, a draft up based on those findings from the survey which we conducted. So that was completed on the 23rd of July, and so some of you might have had a bit of an opportunity to look at the results of the report, and I'll just speak to them really quickly. Obviously, we investigated those 5 different elements of transport accessibility issues in Gawler. So the first being vehicle on-road testing, which has been a problem for a while. The hazard perception testing wait time, which seems to have disappeared now, which is good to see. The ongoing access to bus services in the town, the closure of the railway line for electrification works, and the prioritisation of the train service. So the questions we asked about, we got some interesting results. Most of the respondents were school-age students from 13 to 17. and it actually yielded some results which I can't say I was expecting, but actually quite beneficial for looking at youth transport use as a whole, because what we found is that a lot of people aren't using public transport when they could be, and that in some of the areas where public transport could be quite useful to people, it's actually not accessible. So, for example, the school routes don't run at necessarily convenient times. There's one bus which seems to run from, thinking about Trinity particularly, to Trinity at the end of the school day, but then a lot of the people who said that they would catch public transport in the form of a bus after doing co-curricular activities, they don't actually have any bus available to them because there's no bus running on that route anymore at as early as 4:30 p.m. So we also found that there was quite a high number of people who had stopped catching transport into the city. So that's in the form of the substitute bus service, because, well, one, it's inconvenient, but two, they didn't necessarily understand the timetable. Buses were showing up at strange times. They weren't sure if it was half hour late or half hour early. And there's a few things, like I mentioned last meeting, a few worrying things such as depending on which bus shows up means you might have to pay or you might not have to pay for the bus. There's a few complaints about safety, about buses not stopping at the right places, and a bus driver is not necessarily their fault, but not being informed on where buses need to stop or where they need to go, which is a little bit worrying. But it's an interesting, the data we have got is interesting, and I think when council's able to have a look at it, they'll come back with some really complementary stuff, and we'll be able to take that to the mayor and potentially take it forward to the minister and say, hey, here's the evidence, we've done all of the work for you, and this is what young people in Gawler want to happen going forward on transport. And I'll leave it at that, but I think it's really interesting if you do get time to have a look at some of the results we were getting, because it's not necessarily what we're expecting, but it does speak to the bigger picture, which is young people who are catching transport are not happy with the way it is, but a lot of people aren't catching transport because it's not accessible to them. Thanks.
Thanks for that, Isaac. Anyone have any comments or discussion regarding all of that? Councillor Davies?
Yeah, so in terms of where this survey goes next, I guess, like is that at the moment going to council in some way, or are you collating the results yourself and something will come to council?
So that those results, I did collate them in a report which has been shared on the Facebook group. I had planned to move a motion tonight, but because of the complexity of that issue, it has gone to council for, I believe, a formal report to be drafted by council, and that report that I've done from collating those results to be from the Youth Transport Accessibility Committee, that will then be attached as an attachment to that report, which council will do, and then that will go with a motion on notice next meeting, hopefully to council if the Youth Advisory Committee decides to carry that motion.
Sure. And is that going to the main council meeting? Is that going to a committee meeting? I don't know if the staff have a better idea of where that would go.
Sorry, can I just interrupt there? That report will come back to the Youth Advisory Committee next month.
Oh, okay.
With the attachments.
Okay, if there's no more sort of discussion on that one, then we'll move to 8.5, the youth space-based traineeship program budget bid update. Not sure if there's been any update on that one.
Through the chair, Jack, I can speak to that one.
Awesome, thank you.
So obviously, if you have kept an eye on the budget, you'll know that the budget did get adopted with the traineeship bid in there. So congratulations, we will be putting on a trainee as a result of that bid. So well done to all of you for your work and your advocacy in that space. It's really, really exciting. But we have more exciting news. So since that's been passed, we obviously been working in the background with our HR department and our finance department. And what we've done is looked around and found some extra government grants. So there's some extra money around at the moment for traineeships, I think as an extension of COVID funding and those kind of things. So what we're able to do is we're going to extend that traineeship for 18 months. So we're going to use that federal government or state government and federal government money to actually allow us to take that trainee a little bit longer than just 12 months. And we've spoken to our finance department and they're helping us split that money across 2 financial years, which is not always an easy thing to do. So they're working with us, which is great. So that's really good news as well. So we're able to give that young person some extra time at council. So we're really happy and really excited about that. So what's happening now essentially is we're working with our HR department. We're doing the relevant sign-offs. So obviously Henry, our CEO, has to sign off on some paperwork. We've done that aspect of things. So probably in the coming days, Natasha, you will see an ad go out for our youth traineeship. You probably will notice some of the wording in there. We work closely with our HR department around what we can and what we can't say about them being a local young person and all those kind of things. So if you've got any questions when you see that, give us a buzz. But our HR department are on board and are excited. So we're hoping that probably early September, mid-September, Natasha, will have a youth trainee on board and they'll obviously be attending these meetings and get to know you all at the youth space. So congratulations, and it's all systems go. So we're moving very quickly in the background to get them on board. So well done, everybody.
Very exciting. Thank you. Isaac has his hand up.
Thanks, Jack. Yeah, through the chair, Erin. So was that 18 months in total?
Yes, so rather than 12 months, it'll be 18 months in total. So we're hoping that's pretty exciting, but also we'll give you a chance to see how it's gone, because it'll be not coming to this financial year, but the one after, if you'd like to put in another bid. So we'll get a chance to review their progress, see how they've gone, and then you can assess whether or not you'd like to bid again in the financial year after. So we think it works out really well, actually.
Isaac?
Yeah, yeah, thanks, Erin. That's absolutely awesome. And I mean, the from the early stages of that discussion, that was something which we were talking about as part of that subgroup, was whether there are any grants that exist out there. So the fact that that's happened and it's been extended to the time frame that we were almost looking at as a committee to start with, and then cut it back to be a bit more conservative with the budget bid, that's absolutely awesome.
Is there any more questions or discussion on the traineeship? Councillor Shanks?
Yeah, look, I just guess I probably want to really echo what Erin said. I mean, you guys are putting some pretty good work in this space, and look, the result speaks for itself. You know, Erin and her team have managed to run with an idea here that you guys have presented, and it's, you know, it has resulted and it will change someone's life. So, you know, you shouldn't really forget that. And it just shows that that work and that effort does have that payback. So yeah, I'm really humbled to be a part of the process, and yeah, sort of follow it up through council. Unfortunately, it's a whole bunch of other budget items I couldn't get around, but this particular one was a no-brainer. And yeah, look, it's going to be a good outcome. The fact that we get that extra 6 months is fantastic. Not only does it take us past our term, it also just gives that ability to go, all right, here's one financial year, and then 6 months of assessment of that last financial year without getting rid of the person, which it's massive in achievement, really, when we're able to review the 12 months gone, because by default, they were just going to be gone regardless. And then we would have reviewed, and then we would have been playing catch up. So, you know, that ability to move has made this, I think, the difference of a one-hit wonder to being able to run with. That's how I see it, and that's all based on the work you guys have put in. So yeah, look, congratulations. Yeah, look forward to seeing the positive outcomes.
Yes. And Isaac, do you have anything else? No. Okay. No worries.
Sorry, can I just say something, Jack, through the chair? Sorry, I can't put my hand up because I'm doing all sorts of things on my screen. It won't let me, but can I just make one point as well? With the 18 months, it actually allows that young person to gain the Certificate 3 in Business Administration. So they can, that's the term that they actually need to gain that qualification. So instead of only being partway through that certificate and then obviously the 12 months finishing, they've got that opportunity, that real opportunity to finish it, gain that qualification, which will help set them up for their next step once they've so it's really a win-win both for Town of Gawler but also for that young person coming on board. It's a really great opportunity and will make them more employable for someone else, which I think is amazing. So well done, everybody.
Very exciting times ahead. So moving on to items 9, we've got 9.1, tourism strategy, digital storytelling. Is there anything we need to discuss regarding that, or is that something to discuss next time we meet?
Through the chair, Kirsty Dudley, who presented at our June meeting, she will be attending in the September meeting to give an update on that for us.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And 9.2, commercial development of heritage buildings within Gawler.
So through the chair again, that request for a report as per Abby's request, and that item has been sent off to our development team, and they're currently preparing a report for that, which I'm hoping will be in our September agenda.
Okay, no worries. Councillor Shanks.
Just on that one, I wonder if there's a way, like, because obviously we've got the items listed for discussion. The process being that particular report was only just endorsed by council like last week. So the timing, the way that it works, obviously we've got a youth advisory meeting 1 week after, but if we did have under that item council endorsed report to come, or something like that, it probably would just show the process rather than repeating ourselves. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Because then we can see the progression throughout the meetings.
I've made it like that, no problem.
Okay, thank you. So number 10.1, questions on notice, dog management.
Through the chair, just with that one, a request has been sent off. I do apologise with the lockdown and COVID that has been a bit delayed. That information for you tonight, but I don't. So we will get that information and put it into a memo for the committee members to send that out.
Okay, no worries. So then next up is the questions without notice. Does anyone have any questions without notice? Okay, so then lastly is the motions without notice. So that would be regarding Alex, right? Okay. So, Councillor Davies.
Yeah, well, I'm happy to move that Alex be thanked for his time on the committee.
Thank you. And Isaac.
Yeah, happy to second that.
Right. Thanks. And then all those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Is there any other motions without notice that wish to be discussed? Okay, so then moving on we'll call the meeting closed at 7:04. Still efficient by Zoom. And so our next ordinary meeting will be Monday, the 6th of September at 6:30. And will that be online or would that be by Zoom next month?
Well, I presume that will depend on what the COVID situation's like.
Yeah. Hopefully back in person. But yeah. So that's it. Thank you, everyone. And have a good rest of your week.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.